Good morning and welcome back to the collab set of the Aegis stuff. We're fighting ABG's on in the collab set and they're on Cartwheels, Teemo Tristana and Fizz Samira, which is kind of what we were trying to beat, to be honest. With the exception of Cartwheels, our aim was to beat Tristana Piles and our aim was to beat, like, Varus Samira. Fizz Samira is close in as much as, like, we're trying to beat, like, you know, mid-range Samira nonsense that does certain things that are sort of flary in nature, right? But Fizz Samira and Varus Samira obviously play quite differently, but there's some similarity that isn't deniable, right? Like, it's not like this is Norra Veigar, like, this is Fizz Samira. It's very similar. I don't think their deck lists are too averse to the stock standard if Ra wants to load. While that's happening, we can also open our lists. So we were just running my list from the thing. Okay, that's not where I expected it to go, but sure. So this is their version of this deck. They're on the Darken fan, which is slightly absent from the norm, I think, but everything else is pretty stock standard. Teemo Tristana is this sort of, you know, Noxus deck. I think everyone's pretty familiar with it. It's the Might, Vandal Gunners, Tenor of Terror, fun stuff. They're on Protoporo. I don't know if that's normal. I don't really know what these decks look like. And they're on Fizz Samira. They're on Fleet Admiral Shelley, and they're on a few things. They're on the Fervor stuff, just like Donut was on, but they're not on Inferna, and they're not on a few other things. But it's like, it's Monkey is Fizz Samira, right? So I think that's like sort of a common deck that people have been playing. Obviously, this is our version of Cartwheels, this is our version of Illaoi J4, and this is our version of Norra Veigar. If you're ever confused about stuff, you can always just come back here and check the deck list. But let's go over the... So obviously, sorry, we're just double check. We're banning this. They're going to end up banning, I think, from memory, they ban our Cartwheels as well for a very similar reason, that they're just scared of the cartwheeling. Now, I've really liked this set because this set shows really well, not hand reading. I kept calling it hand reading. It's hand tracking, which is slightly less cool, but it's something I'm still not very good at because a lot of their stuff, say, you know, Father Fury or Barbed Chain give you information about what cards are in their hand just because of the nature of what they say. Same with Swindle, right? So all of these cards tell you exactly what's in their hand in a given range, right? And so their hand isn't like 5 empty cards. It's like 4 cards that you know and then 1 card that's an unknown that they just top decked, right? This is similar to when you fight Riven, where you should be keeping track of like the blade fragments. And so while we don't do a lot of hand reading, we're not like, oh, they didn't play this card, so they probably don't have it, or that does happen once or twice. Generally speaking, what I find really interesting about this game and what I want to test using this tool for is tracking, like, you know, writing down at the top, say, you know, this is a 2 mana card, or this is from Father Fury, so it's a 1 mana card, right? I think that'll be interesting because what happens is during at least the first and second game, we get to read pretty much their entire hand, and if you're not paying attention to that, you're going to be, you know, scared of Powder Pandemonium, when in reality they can't have Powder Pandemonium because all of their cards are from Father Fury. I think that's cool, and Gemsy definitely helps a lot with that. Now, Roma went to sleep. It's like 2 a.m. for Roma and has never played these decks, so he just decided to take a rest. I don't mind. But Gemsy especially helps a lot with trying to keep track of the hand and also playing around certain stuff. And he's really good at like working out things that I ignore. For example, like, I don't know, playing form up on Illaoi. Anyway, let's continue watching. Or let's start watching, because I think these sets are interesting. And my final comment is that I love ABG Zon. I know a lot of people have thoughts about ABG generally, but this is like my favorite team to ever play in Aegis. Like, every single time I fight ABG Zon, I've got a smile on my face. I'm so happy. My favorite set that I've ever had in Aegis is obviously the Mastering Runeterra Pro Team set that we did in Aegis Season 1 when we were in the top 16, and they first picked us into the finals, and then we beat them in a really close set. And there was so much like camaraderie and excitement for that. That was obviously my favorite set I've ever played in Aegis. But generally speaking, every time, like ABG Zone is probably like 2 to 7, right? Like I really enjoy playing ABG Zone. They're just so much fun. They're so friendly. And I love talking with their captain and like celebrating their wins and stuff. It's just good fun. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I'm really excited to show this set because I like this team. I like these games. I think this is interesting to me, at least. I know for some people it won't be that interesting because they obviously will keep track of the Father Fury cards. Why would you not? But it's not something that I typically do very often because I'm just lazy. But obviously with a collab set, I want to seem cool to Gemsy, so I keep track of the cards. But let's watch.
I mean, we haven't done a lot of scrimming, so we're gonna just have to rely on the numbers.
Obviously we've got Squirrel Voice because I haven't, because it's at 1.5 speed. I'm too young to watch things slowly.
Who needed them anyway?
So that voice is Gamesy.
Okay, goodbye, cartwheels. Now
Carlos
they're
is
probably
dead.
gonna ban our cartwheels as well. I'm gonna start with Java and Illaoi, I think.
Okay, apparently that's what I said.
Yep, they banned cartwheels. I'm gonna play Illaoi Java.
I am recording, right? Please say yes.
I think into both of these decks,
Good.
we just want like early draws and because they're both aggro, we just want early draws and like tentacle slam and stuff. I think.
Hmm.
Sounds about.
Okay.
So, against Fizz Samira, this is actually a really good draw, right? We obviously don't want Nagagibara, it costs 8 mana. Never keep it. But this challenges a lot of things that we need to be wary of. It challenges Father Fury, it challenges Fizz, it challenges Samira. If they do, for example, Fizz on turn 1 and we have first action Hired Gun, we're going to feel amazing because we can all of a sudden just kill Fizz. So this is like a massive keep. Always keep this card. That's the worst tick I've ever done. Tentacle Smash is similarly interesting. Now, it's not like Tentacle Smash is going to be like really good at killing Samira because it trades into Samira. Now, while that might be worthwhile for a card like Heavy Metal, right? Like if this was 3 mana Heavy Metal, I would still keep it for cards like Samira. But I think that more importantly, this is an amazing way to deal with cards like Shelly, and if our tentacle is big enough, Dashing Dandy and, you know, Samira on turn 4 rather than on turn 2, right? So I think this is an important card to keep, and I think we probably do keep it just because we have the Hired Gun. Like, we've got a lot of the early game stuff under control. If we didn't have a Hired Gun, I could see a world where keeping Tentacle Smash is a little bit riskier, but I think you would still keep it if we didn't have Hired Gun. And then Illaoi is our win con, and it forces them to block, and a lot of their stuff doesn't have high health, except, like, I don't know, maybe Jagged Butcher. So they need to keep blocking Illaoi, which is nice. Blocking Illaoi is the same thing as, like, challenging with Illaoi, right? So I think Illaoi is also like a good keep. So this is like a really good mulligan, right? We've got one card that we are absolutely in love with. This is maybe the best card in this matchup, right? If we go back to the deck list, like what card do we want more than that? Broadwing? Watchful Idol? Even Broadwing can't be procced on turn 2. And Watchful Idol is just as good, but honestly, I think Hired Gun is better than Watchful Idol in this matchup, only because Hired Gun kills exactly everything that we want it to, from Father Fury to like Fizz to even like Shelly on a later turn if they don't end up playing these cards early. Like, I think Hired Gun's amazing. And it allows us to go for interesting lethals with Illaoi, like forcing them to block with certain stuff, right? Like in future turns if we don't play it early. So, you know what? I'm really happy to have found the Hired Gun here.
I'm willing Illaoi and I'm unsure about.
Am I
Not
saying?
Tentacle Smash. This is a weird mulligan.
I
I think
wonder
Hired
what
Gun is really good for killing Fizz.
Yeah.
And
What happened to
Illaoi
that?
is sort of important for winning games. I just don't know about Tentacle Smash. Tentacle Smash is... It's good, but if we don't draw... I mean, we'll probably draw stuff. Like, we've got 3 draws also before we can do stuff. I think Tentacle Smash is fine to keep.
So one of the things that's important is like by the time Tentacle Smash is online, we'll be at about 4 mana. So by that point, we've drawn like 5 cards, right? If we get, you know, C's Voice, right? So we've got 3 copies of C Voice in here in the deck. We've got 3 copies of this thing in the deck. We've got 3 copies of the 2 copies, I think, of Answered Prayer, right? Like we've got draws that'll turn on Tentacle Smash, irregardless. We've also got like the Eye of God, right? And technically, I've not Kibaras. The point is, like, we've got enough draws in our next 5 draws that Tentacle Smash is going to turn online for things like Shelly by that point, even if it's just like Illaoi, right? So I think Tentacle Smash is fine, and this is something that like I've kind of understood more from like a very innocuous Sleepy Panda comment. He was saying something in some matchup, I think in the CDS, where I didn't want to keep Tentacle Smash, even though it's like a premium piece of removal that will eventually be drawn into being well. Right, like even if this isn't good on turns, you know, 3 or 4, just based on draw, maybe like turn 3 or 4 doesn't see the play of this card. This card will see play almost guaranteedly on turn 5 or 6. This card will almost guaranteedly see value by then. And that's almost good enough to keep just because the sort of value isn't something like, oh, I've played Stilted Roadmaker, all my darkness has cost 1 less mana, which is fine. The sort of value is I've killed one of your main threats and continued building up my own threats by leveling Illaoi or giving +2/+2, right? So the way in which like this influences the game such that it removes one of their key threats and guaranteedly increases our own win condition and will, if it isn't getting value on turn 5 or 6, only one of two things have occurred. Either we've somehow not drawn a single tentacle card over the next 8 draws, or somehow like they haven't played Shelly or a Samira that we're worried about. And if they haven't played Shelly or a Samira we're worried about, we're winning, right? Their win condition involves having a card that we want to remove, right? That's sort of by nature how that works. Now, they could have something like a Fizz Father Fury hand, And because they're not on burble fishes. Maybe if they're on a burble fish sort of thing, maybe that logic would be a little bit weirder because all Tentacle Smash is doing is killing a 2-1 elusive. So maybe you would say, okay, we want to find more aggressive options by that point. But because of the way this deck works, right, like they're going to need to find a Samira or a Admiral Shelley or maybe a Dashing Dandy to almost like do well. They could pound a Pandemonium us, but I don't know. I think Tentacle Smash is an important card to be keeping, especially because we already have this early game shot up, right? I think.
Okay, perfect, beautiful.
And then... Perfect, beautiful. We find the Watchful Idol. Like, this is very good for us.
I'm gonna pass on 2, I think. To threaten my gun.
Yes, we're gonna open pass on 2 to threaten the Merciless Hunter thing. Dronaka Gibaras.
They're not gonna play Samira, I don't think.
I have to cough a lot. I haven't edited out my
they play
coughs.
Samira.
So
I'm gonna play Hired Gun and I'm gonna attack Samira. And I'm gonna... What, so they could have Warning Shot all out? That's what they're doing here?
Yeah, so this is like exactly the point of Hired Gun. It kills this. Now they could have Warning Shot all out, but that's 2 cards in hand, right? And that's not a bad play for them. It's, you know, we can eventually do this afterwards. It's still got Vulnerable even after that, so we have this. Like, this Vulnerable is permanent even if they keep this card alive. So honestly, it's probably worth just, like, letting this go.
I mean, if they've got Warning Shot all out, they've got Warning Shot all out, right? We just have to do it.
Yeah, it's
Okay. That kind of surprises me. But maybe they just really wanted the flare. I don't know. Like, maybe they've got Dashing Dandy, and they're like, I have to play Dashing Dandy. It's legal for me not to.
And, like, look, just look at this position, right? Like, we've got all of this, and they've got nothing on field. As a mid-range deck, this is, like, everything you could ever want in life. We're going to develop this in a future turn, then this, and then if push comes to shove, we got this, and we got an interaction piece, and we got protection. Like, this is beautiful. This is everything you want.
I think they might have Stylish Shot. I'm thinking, like, if they do Stylish Shot, Dashing Dandy, we might want to Tentacle Smash. To prevent Stylish Shot from happening again, because we'll still get Tentacles either way. And
So this is not a logic that I use typically very often, right? I'm pretty bad at using this sort of logic, but if they take a long time to think about something, often that means a certain type of hand, right? And my thinking was, if they're thinking a long time about something, my instinct is that they're weighing up the reality of playing a Stylish Shot card and an interaction piece. Playing a Stylish Shot and a card that buffs itself off Styling Shot, such as Dashing Dandy, versus our chance of having interaction pieces. And my response was, you know, if they do Stylish Shot and Dashing Dandy, we will probably Tentacle Slam, because we still get the 1-1 afterwards, and we'll still have this around, and then we've killed their Stylish Shot, which is a good piece of interaction for us to deal with. That was my thinking with this logic. I don't normally use that they've got a lot of their thinking for a while. They're probably thinking about this card logic too much. It's not something I'm really comfortable doing too much, but I think in this instance, that was at least what I was trying to go for.
I think they're just wandering between Flare and Stylish Shot. That's my instinct. Because they're thinking a lot. Warning Shot? Dandy? Or is it Father Theory? It's Butcher. We could slam Butcher, but I kind of think we should just take the damage and play Illaoi. Do you have any thoughts? Like, I like having Illaoi plus these cards in future, and this is important for Shelly, right? So I think we should just take the damage. If you've got no objections, I will pass. If you're trying to say something, I can't hear you.
I feel bad for Gimsy. I think his microphone was struggling a little during this. I think he had an explanation. He was moving somewhere between these conversations. But basically, like, we've got the option to kill this unit, maintain tempo, or we can say, you know, this hits the Nexus. They've already procced Plunder. We don't need to, like, be super averse to having Plunder procced. We need this for Shelly. And being able to keep this up and this up for future turns is just going to be nice, right? Like, why spend mana?
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
can take 3
Let's
damage and it's okay. Like, we're feeling very fine in this position.
Okay, they do Elegant Edge. I think we just accept that. We might have to form up, but I'm not so sure. They are a lot more aggressive, so form up on, like, Hired Gun into Illaoi might be important, just to block, like, Elegant Edge and stuff. I think I'll probably form up, block Elegant Edge. I think I just want to avoid damage. For now.
Yeah, sure.
So, a few things. One, now that they've got 2 units on the field, I'm thinking, all right, we need to be a bit more defensive. They can't develop Shelly on turn 4, so we can obviously just do this on turn 5. That's fine. It'll be a 2-2 because of... actually, no, it'll be even larger because of this thing, unless they play all out, right? In the event that they play Shelly on turn 5, that's fine. You've got this card. But I don't want to go down to low health against a Monkey's version of this deck where they can deal 6 damage just by playing the Monkey card and dealing with us. Now, they've currently got 2 Plunder procs. which maybe I'll keep track of here, that they've got 2 plunder procs. Like that. There we go. And so, you know, I do want to keep our life total high and form up, you know, it can protect stuff from removal, but what's the removal? Pirouette? Fervor? Like, I think it's fine to use form up here to do this block. It also, like, forces in quotes an all out. If they've got an all out, that's fine. Look, their hand. What's their hand going to be? It's going to have 2 cards in it? Big deal. And then we can still play Illaoi and be aggressive. So I wanted to do this. If they only had the Butcher, I think I would have let the attack through. But because they've got these 2 attackers, I want to kill this one, which is fearsome and can attack us in future and be quite scary. That was my logic.
We'll still have
there,
Tentacle Smash for a potential, shall we? Okay. And we're still pressuring them with Illaoi. We've got Virulika. Like, we've got the long game. We will win if the game does go super, super long. Provided there's no absurd monkey. Cataclysm is beautiful. We might win on turn 6 with just, you know, look out Cataclysm.
Yeah, so Cataclysm does give us possible lethal lines now.
If they pass, I'm going to pass back, by the way.
Yeah, so if they pass, my plan was to pass back and just burn their mana. Like, we don't need to attack at all, and them losing mana as like a pseudo combo deck is quite useful, right? Because they're a plunder combo elusive deck in a sense.
But I don't think they're going to pass. I think they're just going to play...
So burning their mana is quite useful.
But what unit would that be? Like, Flare Father Fury? They might have to pass. Or they might do like Barbed Chain. Our attack isn't that good, funnily enough. Maybe if we had done it on the high gun, the form up, we would have had a better attack here. Okay, they did do Father Fury. We can attack with a...
So they did Flare Father Fury. Now, I think they end up playing Barbed Chain, so it sort of makes sense, but I was wondering if, you know, they should even bother flaring. So, first off, they proc Plunder. That's a 3. Next off, this is a 1 mana card. I'm going to keep this as a note that this is a 1 mana card. Just try and draw the 1 quite nicely. It's going to end up moving quite a lot as time goes on, but sure.
Illaoi.
Now I'm deciding if I want to attack with Illaoi. Attacking with Illaoi is okay. It's not amazing. Like, it puts 3 damage on Illaoi if they decide to do this block, and that could cause problems for us in future by putting damage on Illaoi. At the same time, that it does flip Illaoi. It increases the strength of this unit by a little bit. It's all right, and it does kill something that can matter if they end up going wide somehow from anything.
It's not amazing. It's just sort of okay.
Levels it up, I think.
It does level her up a little bit. What are they going to do? They can like double all out. That's not too bad. They could all out pure
Also, I talk a lot more than games here. I do apologize if that's irritating.
Pirouette. That's 2 cards in their hand. I think it's fine. One of these cards is also a Father Fury card. We should keep that in mind. Swindle. Okay, so they might have Cataclysm. They're going to take Cataclysm. Is that a Lookout? These are they're going to take one of these 2. Because both of these are useless for them. Sort of. I mean, I think the rest isn't actually that bad, but I think they're going to take Cataclysm or Lookout.
Okay, so first off, this is from Father Fury, and this is from Swindle.
Yeah. In that event, we should probably play around Cataclysm at some point.
And remember, the Swindle card can only really be like Cataclysm or Lookout. Now, I'm not going to write Cataclysm Lookout every time, but that's what that can be. I mean, if you really want, we can make it so like it says, you know, Swindle. It's either Cataclysm or Lookout. Everything else is like kind of unlikely. They don't really want Nakakibaros. It's a big unit, and if they want to stall out, they can do that, but we're also going to have Nakakibaros at that point, right? And they could take Tentacle Slam as a 2-mana removal piece, but that's not any better than what the possibilities are with Cataclysm, right? I don't think. Maybe they're very equidistant. I don't know. But I expected one of these 2, and Brew Lookout's probably a better choice, but I thought one of these 2 would be the likely choice, because they can only see 3 cards, right? So if they see these 3, they'll take this one. And if they see these 3, they'll take this one, but if they see, you know, this and this, they'll probably take this one, right?
Yeah, this is not
water.
totally unexpected. There's a good chance they're just going to try and kill Illaoi. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Huh. We could have Nakakibaros' thing on turn 9, which is interesting. And with this, they might try and Cataclysm Illaoi.
Okay, so they played Barbed Chain.
Okay. Barbed Chain I'm not surprised about. So they've got one mana card. They've got a 1 mana card, a Swindle, and 2 fleeting cards, right? 1 mana.
Hold on. Can I just quickly check what the controls are? How do I access this easier? Can I just quickly work out, like, what's the... Remember, they've now got 4 Plunder procs from the Swindle, right? They've got a 1 mana card. Sorry, let's just wait for them to actually do the
Swindle,
draw.
2 fleeting.
Okay, so they've got a 1 mana card. They've got a fleeting card, and a Swindle card, right? And the Swindle card, I'm not going to rewrite it, but the Swindle card is the Swindle card, right?
So we'll see what they do.
And so they're priced into playing the fleeting cards. Otherwise, if they like open pass, I'm going to pass them back and burn their fleeting cards. And look, their hand's not going to have too much on it, and we're still pressuring a lot. And they also don't have that much mana to spend on their fleeting cards. Like, what are they going to do? Especially if none of these are plunder activators and these two say plunder, or if these two are plunder activators but none of these other things say plunder. Like, what the fleeting cards can be in a hand where two of their cards are already bricks, because they're not going to be that useful, it's quite nice for us. And their first play is actually Stylish Shot. So if we do this again, 1, Swindle, Fleeting, Fleeting. Their hand is really good looking for us all of a sudden.
Okay, that was Stylish Shot from the top.
God, I didn't see where that was from.
Okay, that was Stylish Shot from the top.
And that was a fleeting card. So they've got a 1, they've got a fleeting, they've got a 1, and they've got a swindle.
So they've got a 1 mana card, a swindle, a regular card. They've got 2 1 mana cards, a fleeting card, a swindle card, and a 1 mana card. Right?
And this is their only natural draw.
I think that's correct. They've got what they swindle, 2 1 mana cards, a fleeting card, and a regular card. I think that's it.
Also, they've procced Plunder again.
I'm gonna pass here, I think. We could have done Tentacle Smash or Cataclysm. But I'm curious on what they're planning on doing.
So I'm passing here because if they attack and deal 4, I'm okay with that. You know, I'll live. I'll play the either the Brew Lookout or the 3/3. Probably the Brew Lookout, then do the 3/3 next turn and then open. Or we'll attack if this ends up being Pirouette or this ends up being Pirouette, like big deal, right? These are the only cards that can really be Pirouette, right? This and whatever they draw next turn. So I'm develop this, take the 4 damage and just be like super aggressive. But if this is a fleeting card that I need to be worried about, such as like another Father Fury, then I'm going to get into situations where I might want to just do the Tentacle Slam. That's my thinking. Okay, so their 1 mana card ended up being Ransom Riches. So what they've got is they've got a 1 mana card, a Swindle card, a Fleeting card, and then a Ransom Riches card.
So now they've got Ransom Riches, a 1 mana card, and a fleeting card.
And that ends up just being Horror, so don't worry.
Okay. They've got a 1 mana card, a fleeting card, a swindled card, and their regular draw.
But look at our position. We've got 5 cards, we've got a bunch of units, and we're only scared about this. I know I'm not really focusing on the board state too much, I'm just thinking about their hands. But one of the main things you can do in this game is if you know what's in their hand, you're so comfy. And just realizing that they've actually only got 1 good card in hand is an amazing feeling.
Do you want to do Tentacle Smash? Or like Cataclysm or something? Just to prevent like elusive chip damage? Or should we be setting up for like a Buru Lookout Sea's Voice mega attack? I guess it's better just to do Buru Lookout and Sea's Voice and force them to block and use Cataclysm for aggro.
I like that move.
Yeah, okay.
I think I should have probably passed here and just waited for them to attack. I don't, if we're avoiding 4 damage, it's fine. I don't know, maybe we, because this will have 9 strength and this will have, 11 strength, so it's probably worth it, and then we can do Cataclysm for lethal, so maybe it's probably worth it just to do this.
But I think they're also going to try and, Tentacle Smash or...
Do this and then Cease Voice.
Cataclysm Illaoi? All out. That's not...
So All Out was neither their 1 mana card or their fleeting card. So here's the thing. We know their whole hand. It's 1 mana, Swindle, and it's fleeting. And this is so beautiful. By the way, they've got all of their I know this is 6, even though I did the slash. This means they've got a full monkey. I'm not going to continue writing the monkey stuff. They've just got a full monkey. That's all you really need to know.
It's not fleeting. That's a regular draw, and it's not from Father Fury.
Yeah.
So their hand is 1 mana. It's fleeting. It's Stylish Shot, and it's a
I should mention they've also got Stylish Shot, right? But we can see that in hand. So fleeting.
Regular draw.
Swindle.
I think their
1
hand is
mana.
something like that. But I think we'll do Sea's Voice, and we'll hold up Cataclysm. We'll also go what they swindled off us. Pirouette. That's from the...
And that's from the Barb Chain. So now, Swindle, 1 mana.
Draw?
That's it.
So they've got the Swindle and a 1 mana card. But they can't kill Tentacle plus Cataclysm, so they have to block the Jarvan. They have to block the Buru Lookout and stuff. So unless they further Sea's Voice right now, we're good.
By the way, just double checking, did we block with Illaoi? Was that necessary? They pulled with Illaoi. Okay. I was wondering why Illaoi was dead. But they pulled with it. Okay.
The Buru Lookout and stuff. So unless they further Sea's Voice right now, we're good. And even then we can pressure, right?
Alright, so right now we've got 8 damage, overwhelmed twice with Cataclysm. It's not technically lethal because of the way, they can block this and all that sort of stuff. There's ways in which Cataclysm isn't lethal, but the point is, we're applying so much pressure that it basically could be considered lethal.
Tentacle Smash and Cataclysm.
Right.
I think we're feeling fine.
Pirouette?
Hell, Pirouette, okay.
Which
Well,
is
we can still force blocks by doing
irritating,
Aegis, right?
but sure.
but this won't be, like, lethal. In fact, they don't even have to block right now. We should probably do Tentacle Smash. Because our only lose condition now is, like, a bunch of monkeys. And that probably does kill us. God, that was such a good pirouette from them.
Yeah, that was a good pirouette. Now, I still stand by that this... Fun quarter. I still stand by that this play last turn was better than this play last turn, because open attacking isn't going to do too much for us if we just open attack with this, I think. So I still stand by that we're supposed to do this, and it just sucks that their top deck was pirouette, the one card that actually deals with us pretty decently. But sure. But now I'm scared of stuff like a top deck monkeys, because if they top deck monkeys, it's 2 damage, it's 2 damage. Then over here, it'll, we can block 3 of them, or maybe 4 of them, right? But we'll still take 4 damage, and that's 8, and then it's 9, right? So we're definitely scared of the monkeys by quite a bit, right? And they shouldn't do this block. And the right play is not the block. They do the right play.
They've got a card they swindled and a 1-mana card. I'm going to play Tentacle Smash to make it so we don't die to monkeys.
Now, I think
if
this is
they
wrong.
monkeys, what's going to happen? How many times have they proc Plunder? I think they proc Plunder enough times. Yeah. Okay.
They have.
If they do monkeys, we can then Tentacle Smash after they do monkeys? Right? No, they're monkeys after they attack. So we have to do it now, I think. They've got enough. I think they've got 5 or 6. I think this is correct.
So it's weird. I don't think this is correct in the end. So my fear point is that they're going to open attack, deal 5, and then just monkeys afterwards and we lose. That's a fine fear. I'm not surprised that that's a fear, but this doesn't solve that situation, right? Because they can also just monkeys before the attack, and what are we going to do? What's cool is that we can, cataclysm this afterwards, and then we're only taking... So they play monkeys, right? Then we only take 5 Nexus damage from the monkeys. We've got this, and then we're not able to block 2 of them though, right? So we're taking another 4, and that's also lethal. So I don't think there's a way to play around monkeys. I don't think there's any way to play around monkeys. So that's why this doesn't make sense for monkeys. This does make sense for Fervor though, right? Because let me explain. We've got 4, right? Then this is basically 2, right? Because they can do it before the attack and after the attack. So +2 and then +3 for Fervor. That's 9. So this makes sense for trying to beat Fervor, but it doesn't make sense for being monkeys. Monkeys is still lethal, which is why this deck is still quite powerful, right? Like, we've had such an amazing position this whole time, and while we could have Tentacle Smashed earlier to deal with these elusives, right? We had to keep this for stuff like Shelly, and at some point, eventually, developing units was a more powerful play than doing this, right? But now we're at a situation where we have to do this to play around Fervor. Now, I don't say Fervor here, and Fervor should have been on my mind, but it wasn't. But we have to be worried about... Oh, by the way, this isn't... There, it is 9, sorry. I thought it was 10 for a second. Math moment. But this is to play around Fervor.
4 damage plus this. If they do monkeys, we can... we can't block them. I mean, we sort of can. We can do some things. But it has to be... I'm talking about this draw. This draw has to be monkeys, because it's currently 1 mana and Swindle. That's all they've got in hand. Stylish shot. Don't tell me you've got monkeys. Monkeys is still lethal. Jesus Christ.
And their 1 mana card was also all out. So now we've got this Swindle.
I think they're playing for Fervor WinCon. Right?
And now we're still losing to Fervor. Because now, I remember they'll get the Stylish shot, so we're down to 3 HP, and now we're just losing to Fervor.
Are you playing for Fervor as a WinCon? Yeah, seems so.
By the way, I love ABG Zone. They're playing for Fervor. Who doesn't love ABG Zone?
Which we can't actually beat, funnily enough. I mean, we can Tentacle Smash now just in case they didn't top deck Fervor.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're Tentacle Smashing now because this card is Fervor, we lose, right? We can't play around this card being Fervor. But we can play around this card being Fervor. And then this Swindle card would have to be Cataclysm, right? If this Swindle card is Buru Lookout, then they can still play for Fervor outs. But if this card was Cataclysm, right? And this card is not Swindle, and this card is not Fervor, but this card is Fervor, and this card would have to be some sort of, I don't know, draw card or something, then we can win, right?
But that's about it?
That's the logic I'm going for. So remember,
like
Swindle.
Top deck Fervor?
Yeah, this plays around top deck Fervor.
But it doesn't prevent a Fervor right now. Jesus Christ.
Because we've got open lethal no matter what happens.
Their hand should be a Swindle card and a top deck card. That's what they swindled. Okay. We can't beat Fervor anymore. God damn it. Okay.
So now we can no longer beat Fervor, right? And they're going to pre-commit this before their attack. They're smart enemy gamers.
We'll just open with Jarvan and see what happens at this point, right?
Yeah.
We could beat Fervor if we top deck single combat. So I think we should Cataclysm. Do we know what this card is? Was this just like a natural draw from this turn?
Natural draw, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I don't want to waste all out. But they would have pre-committed all out, right? Like they would have played all out just a second ago if they had it when going for attacks.
Yeah, they would have. They played one, they would have easily played two.
Yeah, so I think we're supposed to do this. That way we can beat Fervor if we top deck single.
Okay, so we've got to read that this isn't all out because they would have played it on the attack, I think, is our logic. I don't know if that's entirely true. I think it might be. Yeah, because it gives health, right? So I think they would have in the end. No, it doesn't matter if it gives health. Not really, no. I mean, it just pushes more damage, right? So it means a warning shot is now lethal, right? So they would do it, right? That gives them a warning shot top deck. So yeah, they would have done all out. Which means that they don't have all out, which means we can do this and there's nothing in their deck that we're scared of, right? It's not going to be all out. So what are they going to do to kill us? Like, Fervor already kills us. We don't have to worry about Fervor. So we're going to do this. That way, if we top deck a single, if they get Fervor and we get single, then we can single this and win, right? That's why I'm doing Cataclysm here. And that's why we're doing Cataclysm here. It's a team set, not mine. Now, I should say, we probably could have done it with just Brew Lookout and not worried about, like, if they misplayed and didn't play All Out, and they still had All Out, then we probably could have just played Brew Lookout and done this trade. That would have been fine, right? That way we don't lose to All Out if they somehow don't play it. So I think this is still correct in a weird way, but sure.
I guess we should have done it with Brew Lookout just in case. That would have been fine.
Yeah, so they're playing for Fervor?
Barb Chain.
And they've got Barb Chain. So they've got 3 draws for Fervor.
And we didn't get Thinger, so we just open and see what happens. Okay. This was a really good take from them. I don't know if they saw that ahead of time. Like, they were thinking they're going to rely on Fervor or not. There might have been an opportunity to...
Yeah, so what I'm talking about there is them taking Brew Lookout was a good take from them. That was a good swindle. I would have gone for Cataclysm, but I guess I'm just, like, small and stupid. This is a better take. So, good job.
Okay, we got very lucky.
And no Fervor, right? They obviously had a fleeting and a fleeting. They had 3 draws. They had, like, what, 3 copies of Fervor in their deck? 2 copies of Fervor in their deck. So, like, I don't know. Let's say they had, like, 26 cards or something. They go down to 23. It's 2 out of 26 or something. I don't know. I'm not particularly adept at math, but they had, like, 3 looks at that. So what, that's maybe, like, 6 out of 23 or something? I know it's going to be more like, you know, 5.xxx or something out of 23. But, like, they had a decent draw of finding it, and they just didn't find it. But I really like this set. I think this set is super cool. It allows us to see the value of, like, keeping track of what's in their hand. And it's not like it's too difficult to do that, right? You just have to keep saying to yourself, you know, this card's from Father Fury, this card's from Swindle, this card's from Father Fury. And realizing that they had fleeting cards as well was quite useful. But I think this is, like, a cool way of showing how to play around, or how to play against Fizz Samira, which is a deck that you can abuse this logic with quite a bit. And, I mean, we had, like, an amazing draw. We can't, like, I focused a lot on their hand because I think it's the most interesting part of this game. But we did have an amazing draw. We drew Illaoi, we drew C's Voice, we drew a bunch of ways of buffing up the tentacle, like this unit. We drew Jarvan, which didn't end up being that important, but we also drew like 3 tentacle slams or something. We also drew like a Cataclysm. Like, our hand was phenomenal. Don't get us wrong. Like, we drew really, really well. But I think it's, to me, as a VOD review, it doesn't really matter. It matters what aspect I highlight. That's like what the point of this is, right? Like, if this is supposed to be somewhat useful, it's whatever I'm trying to highlight as interesting. And this is the most interesting part of this game, not necessarily the draws or the interactions between the board, right?
But, okay, that was close. Maybe attacking with Illaoi was wrong, because they were able to kill Illaoi at one point?
Yeah, so attacking with Illaoi could have been wrong, right? Ages and ages ago, because we put 3 health on Illaoi, which meant they could end up killing it with Affectionate Poro plus All Out. So maybe attacking with Illaoi was wrong, because we need Illaoi for doing attacks plus Cataclysm stuff. So, again, that was one of the things that could have been wrong. We maybe shouldn't have attacked with Illaoi back on turn 4 when I was debating it, right? But that's about it in terms of, like, the stuff that we could have done differently, I think. Everything else, I think, is mostly just, like, draws and keeping track of their hand. But I thought this was a really cool game. I really enjoyed it. And I love ABG songs. They're so much fun. Anyway, next set.
Norra Veigar into both of these. Okay, Fizz Samira. So I think we want Quietus and Soul Harvest and, like, the early units, right? Something like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't really want Vengeance, only because we can draw Vengeance later, and anything like this kills Shelly, this kills early units, this is an early unit, right? Like, Vengeance will, if we had Vengeance in hand, we would eventually find a scenario where we want to play Vengeance, right? That's not untrue, but by the time we want to play Vengeance, I'm imagining it's going to be around turn 6, including this draw, like including this one. We've got 8 draws to find Vengeance, and Vengeance is only equidistant to other cards in our deck, such as Darkness Generators and such as Soul Harvest and such as other units, right? So because it's equidistant to other things and we have 8 draws to redraw into Vengeance, which would be the same thing as keeping it, right? Because we get the card in the end. I think it's fine to discard this, but we definitely want this early on. We want this early on to kill stuff like Father Fury. We want this early on to kill stuff like Shelly or Samira or even like an Elegant Edge in some scenarios if Twisted Catalyzer isn't enough for that. So I think this is like a really good mulligan.
Okay, this is really nice. If they play Fizz on 1, do we pie toss him? They do run 3 warning shot.
I don't think it's worth.
Okay.
I ask if we should pie toss Fizz on 1, and Gimsy says no.
Okay.
I open pass on 1. I'm
Do
not
we
going to
wanna
develop
play
my
Aegis or
pie
do we
toss.
Thoughts?
I like playing unit.
Catalyze or Construct?
3-2.
So I disagree with Gimsy here. I think they're pretty hard representing Samira, or if not, we can just take the pass. Like, we don't really need to be attacking them much. Our win condition isn't really destroying the Nexus. Our win condition is dealing with all of this stuff and then beating them before they double monkey us, basically, is our win condition, right? So I don't think playing this into Samira was the logical play. Now, if I was to develop a unit, and I don't think developing unit's a bad thing, I think the only correct unit to develop is this one. This one just loses to Samira, and like, cool, we get to do an open attack if they don't have Samira, but I don't think getting Darkness above 4 matters. Right, so this will get it to 3 if it strikes. It's going to get it to 2 if it doesn't strike. But getting it above 4, what does it do? It beats like all out on Fleet Admiral Shelley. I don't know. I feel like we don't need to actually have Darkness that high. We just need to have enough copies of Darkness dealing 4 or 3 that will be fine, right? That's what Darkness needs to do, just deal 4 or 3. And so I don't really agree with developing this unit. I do it because Gimsy tells me to, and I'm never going to say no to Gimsy. And he's got more experience on like SI decks than I do, right? Like, I'm still very new to this. I think in retrospect, I think I should have developed this, because if they do the Samira stuff, we're still developing this in here, but it plays around the odds, right? Again, let's say there's this sort of like bell curve. I know it's not going to be a bell curve, but let's say like, you know, this is like I play Samira on 2 before like I open pass. I don't open pass. I just play Samira on 2, and this is like I open pass, and this is like they just don't have Samira, and this is like they do have Samira but they don't play it, and this is they don't have Samira. They do have Samira but I'm stuffing up my labels. This is Samira no pass. This is Samira pass, right? And this is just no Samira. This is like the worst graph I've ever done, by the way. This graph doesn't make any sense. But we already know this, we already know that this scenario isn't true because they passed, right? In the event that this is true, we should not play anything. But in the event that this is true, in the event that this is true, this is an actively like horrid game losing play, and this is a play that's like okay, right? Like it's fine. But in the world where this is true, then we want to play this, but this is also fine, right? So I know this graph is like really ugly, but my point is like, you know, this is less risk reward and this is high risk reward, and we can't guarantee that they're not in like the world that was here as opposed to the world that was up here, right? Awful graph. I don't know why I try and make everything a graph. It's just how things are. But yeah, I'm saying this obviously is results-based analysis because they freaking have Samira, obviously, and it was their first card in hand. Obviously, they're going to open past their ABG Zorn. They're the best. So, sure. I mean, we've lost this unit now. And they also get to stick a Samira, which isn't good for us at all. Like, they've stuck Samira. That's quite bad for us.
I'm scared of like all out and stuff, but you know, those are options for us. We could do another catalyzer. We've got a few options. Do you have any thoughts?
I like the catalyzer.
Gimsy likes Catalyzer. I actually still disagree. I'm sorry, Gimsy. But I think, like, again, we've just given them a scenario where this is fine, and, like, what are we going to do? We can't Soul Harvest. Soul Harvest costs 3 mana on champions. We can, like, Wallop Pytos, but it's not great, and Wallop's like sort of important for some stuff later on, maybe for like playing around Dashing Dandy or something, because we don't really have a great way of dealing with Dashing Dandy. So I don't know. I think the right play was actually probably just to do this and force them to do all out on a defensive turn. And if they do all out on a defensive turn, sure, they're gonna waste like 2 of their resources, which is fine for us, and then we can do stuff afterwards. We can obviously just Vengeance Shelly. It's only 1 mana down, right? Like this is fine for our Shelly counters. Alternatively, we could have just played this unit, right? They can challenge this unit, but like who cares? And we could also do this twice, which I also don't think is a bad play. I think I'd rather do this over this twice, but that's just me. But I think this is the worst play we could have done. I think even passing is better than playing this card, unfortunately, Gamzy.
That's right, it costs 3 mana to kill a champion.
Just because like we're gonna attack and then what, right?
Warning shot. Into Dashing Dandy. Father Fury. Do you want to Pythos Father Fury? Or Soul Harvest Father Fury? Do you even want to attack? Like, this is such a weird deck.
They have a flare.
Yeah, they've got a flare, but they've also proc like all out and stuff, right?
I think attacking spell.
You want to attack even into Father Fury? Okay.
Interesting. I disagree. I think we should Pytos. If they've got all out, we just won't attack. That's fine. And then if we really want, we can do wall up to protect ourselves from the challenger or whatever. But if they attack, they're just going to do this block. Like, that's fine. I think this block is, like, good for them. But maybe Gamzy is thinking that, like, if we do this, then they will, like, play another unit and then they'll get this block and it's better for them if they block it with another unit as opposed to with this unit. Or maybe they'll play all out or something. I don't know. But I think I would have preferred Pytosing to just destroy this and then attack and then force it to either be blocked by Samira or some other unit. Now, it depends what this 1 mana card is, right? There are worlds in which this 1 mana card is like Ransom Riches, and then they found a good blocker for this, like a Crimson Pigeon or something. But I don't know. I think I would have preferred playing Pytos here.
Yep.
Okay.
But I'm wrong, because they don't block, and Gamzy's just a fucking gamer.
Oh, wow.
So,
I didn't expect that at all. I thought they were going to block with Father Fury.
Yeah. And look, Gamzy's so much of a gamer. He does this. Now, I'll be honest. I don't know why the enemy gamers didn't start with this. This seems like a really good thing to start with, because then you can do this block, right? And maybe you like are obsessed with trying to make this challenger thing work. But I don't know. I think this block is fine for you. But sure. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong. But sure. Apparently they don't. Whatever. Be that way.
Sure, they don't have Warning Shot. Do you want to do anything in particular? Do you want to like Soul Harvest this or Pythos this?
Warning shot levels Samira, by the way, which is why I don't want them to have warning
Pass
shot.
or... I guess we can pass. A little. I can't...
Yep, passing spell.
Okay. I did want to Pythos this a little.
So I want to Pytos because I don't want them to all out on their aggressive turn. They're going to start with Flare. Now that Flare can be an aggressive Flare. If they've got Stylish Shot, then all out is also procced and a few other things. And they've got like 5 copies of all out right now. So I didn't want to do... I wanted to do Pytos so that they can't all out and then deal 4 damage and we still can't kill the Father Fury. I mean, I know all out was nerfed, which is something that if I've messed up so far, I hope I haven't messed up too much. But like I always forget that all out was nerfed. And I think in this game, all out being nerfed does matter at one point.
Do all out aggressively, but sure.
But I just didn't want them to
If they're
do all
gonna
out
challenge,
aggressively.
How do I think
Quickly, just remember that this is a 1 mana card.
Pythos might not. It would take 2 extra damage from Pythos. Stylish Shot, okay. I presume you want to Pythos and... That's it?
Pythos.
Yeah. We could actually wall it and not let them get the Stylish Shot back, which is kind of funny. Is that worth it? Walloping to prevent Stylish Shot and putting a damage on Elegant Edge? I mean, it depends if they've got all out. If they've got all out, then it doesn't work, right?
It might be nice to force.
Okay, fair call.
So this interaction is interesting. I don't want them to get Stylish Shot. Now, there's a few reasons I don't want them to get Stylish Shot. They've got Plunder activators through Flare, right? It's only 1 Plunder activator, and it means if they Flare, they can't do Challenger, which is an important thing to be forking, right? That sort of resource. But I want to force them to do something, right? I want them to just either not get Stylish Shot or do something. If they've got All Out, which does get them their Stylish Shot back, what Gimsy's saying is, okay, they have an all out in hand. Let's force them to use it. Have only these cards and then the Stylish Shot and the Flare that they're going to get, right? Now, this is not great for us, but, you know, they've lost this card. They've lost their all out. And, you know, we can eventually kill Father Fury with the second half of this. Like, that's okay. We can find ways to kill this. It's just nice to get them out of those resources. And while Wallop is okay, what Wallop's going to do most is to prevent 3 damage, right? Maybe he'll prevent 4 or 5 damage. Maybe it'll prevent a Challenger, but preventing a stylish shot is very similar to that, and preventing an all-out from being even more powerful later on is also very similar to that. So I actually kind of like the Wallop here. The only issue is that, like, we're still going to struggle with developing board and dealing with what we need to in an efficient amount of time. But, okay, Wallop's interesting.
Weird position. Okay, they don't have all out.
They don't have all-out, because they would 100% all-out this. This is, like, an amazing all-out target. They could be playing around second by us, but sure, I think they would all-out if they had it.
It isn't in their hand. Which is interesting. Remember, we can probably do Acolyte and kill Samira.
Yeah, that way we can still kill Shelly the same turn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so importantly, we've got this and 5 mana. So we can kill this and Shelly. That's important, that we're forking both of them. We're killing both of those. We're not forking them.
Interesting.
Is it pegging? No, not pegging. I know very little about chess. There was this like DS chess game that I really liked, and that's all I enjoy about chess is that one DS chess game. But I know like forking is when you're attacking 2 units and they can only move 1 out of the way in time. And there's another one, pinning. We're not really pinning, but sure. My point is that like we're targeting 2 things. Yep. Sure. It's whatever. I don't know why I'm trying to use test terms. I don't even really like chess. Sure. Now, it should be noted they can level Samira. There's chances they can level Samira here, which is important, right? Because they'll have, 5 cards and that'll level Samira. And if one of them is all out, like, I don't know, let's say hypothetically they top deck all out, just in theory. It's not like I know how this game works, but like, and how the game plays out. But if they top deck all out, then we might lose because then we can't kill Samira. So that's like the only scenario where we lose, where they top deck Samira or top deck all out, and then we just somehow, because Samira will have 4 health, that we lose. And so maybe if we had, had extra time with the catalyzer and had more strength on catalyzer, then, just possibly, just maybe if catalyzer dealt 4 damage, it'd be fine. But it's not like I know how the game goes or anything. But yeah, that our idea at least is to spend 5 mana on stuff. But, they won't top deck all out.
Okay, they've got a 1 mana card in hand. Fine. Okay, I'm gonna darkness Samira.
Now, it should be noted, they probably can level Samira, right? Let's say both of these are burst. Maybe one isn't burst, but let's say both of these are burst. They've got 3 cards. They just need 1 more card and they've leveled Samira, right? So it's not impossible for them to level Samira. It's not like we should be like entirely shocked that this ever could have occurred. But yeah, they level Samira, I'm pretty sure. I think it's this game.
They could have 3, but if they have 3 burst speed spells, they could level Samira, but it won't prevent her from
Oh, they only need 3. Sorry, I get confused by this symbol sometimes.
Are they gonna do it? Or do they top deck all out? No, they've got 3 burst speed spells. Okay. Which only levels Samira. It doesn't do anything else. So that probably means they've got second Samira in hand. But they didn't play all out. I guess they're just hoping to top deck another Samira. Never mind. I think they top decked all.
And they top decked all out. You can see that was from their top deck.
So
it wasn't from Father Fury, it was from top deck. So they've got a 1 mana card and they've got Ransom Riches. That's their hand. But yeah, they top decked all out.
But all I gives 1 myself. Okay, so we can Perilous Pastry her if we really want.
We can.
Yeah. Means we can't Perilous Pastry Father Fury, but that's okay. I forgot it only gives 1 health. That's kind of funny. I will Perilous Pastry.
But Dashing
We're
Dandy
probably gonna
is
block
scary.
Elegant Edge and Vengeance Dashing Dandy, I think.
Then yeah.
That or we just play Illaoi. No. Because if we top deck a
So, in the end, this attack was worth it, just because if they trade into this, it's fine. I'm looking at their hand, realizing that this is something what they've got. They're only going to have 2 natural draws. We're not too concerned. And I'm not really respecting the 1 mana card of the Ransom Riches. But I end up losing because of what the 1 mana card is. And I want you to guess what that 1 mana card is now.
a ping.
Okay,
I
that
might
would be a
want to block
guess.
this and ping Elegant Edge. Next, I'll harvest. Okay.
But the reason we lose this game, and this does go to a game 3, you already know what the scores are. I showed you in the first video. But we do lose this game, and it's partly
we could
because...
Vengeance Dandy, or we could just take 6 damage and play Illaoi.
Partly because of how this works. Okay, they play Captive Greyback. Let's just go back to doing this.
Soul Harvest? Oh, actually, or is it just Illaoi?
No, it
That
should be
loses
Soul
Hero
Harvest.
quite badly.
Yeah, like Soul Harvest.
Okay, I'll hit this guy.
Now we
Take
can't
a little
afford
bit of damage.
Vengeance.
We'll play Jump Construct and Illaoi, I think.
Alright, so one of my plans was to Vengeance this card last turn, but... And this 1 mana card is...
Stylish shot.
Okay. First off, they
Captive
play... Oh, sorry. Ransom Riches, I think, gave them Captive Greyback, right? So they had their natural draw. Sorry, I messed up the things a little bit, but yeah.
Okay.
So now this is just a natural draw. And they've also got a Stylish shot in here. So they got Stylish and natural draw. But this was really bad for us.
Jump
This
construct
Test
and
of Spirit
Jump construct?
almost cost us the
We can play
game.
jump construct and steal a for darkness, which is nice. So I think we do jump construct. Okay. Then we'll do Ishtali. We'll attack with Ishtali. They need the pirouette here. But they've barely got any cards in hand.
So natural draw, natural draw.
Okay, I'm gonna attack with her. And we don't even have to play darkness. Like, we can keep it for Shelly and stuff if we want.
So we do, I should mention, we do lose to stuff. We lose to stuff like, you know, Fervor Monkeys, right? Like Fervor Monkeys kills us, that's fine. Double Monkeys probably kills us, to be honest. And double Fervor, I think, can kill us.
May as well hold up mana.
Yeah, it's not completing a...
Yeah. I'm so glad I can hear you. Like, it's so much more comfortable. Thanks. Okay. So they're probably playing for like a Monkeys and a Fervor win condition at this point, right? I'm gonna pass.
It's crazy that we lose this game.
Concho. Okay.
It's really crazy.
If they do Stylish Shot and attack, I think I'll Vengeance Dash and Dandy. Monkeys. Okay. We could do Portal Police into Concho.
I like that game.
Portal Police. We could do Concho Vengeance also. That might be safer. Like we Vengeance the Dash and Dandy and we Concho.
Pull something into it, I presume.
Oh yeah, they might. Yeah. So do you want to do Vengeance Concho?
Yeah.
Wallop is nice. So is Mist Call, actually, but I'll take Wallop. We can do Wallop and Vengeance, which is really cute, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on regarding this being able to pull this or pull this to the end with the lifesteal keyword, right? So there's weird stuff we have to play around. Now, there's a guaranteed 5 damage, right? Like this is 5 guaranteed damage. It's 6 guaranteed damage because of this. So we're currently at 6 HP, right? 3 of these hitting our Nexus will kill us, but only 2 of them will, because in theory we've got this, and we've got the Vengeance, right? And we do have Wallop to prevent at least a little bit more damage if push comes to shove. Provided they don't have stuff like a Fervor or a Pirouette, we're feeling pretty okay. But in the event of Fervor and Pirouette, we're getting really close to losing, if not just losing straight up. Now we could have done this. This would have been a higher variance play. And protect us from stuff like Fervor and Pirouette if the variance goes high. But if the variance goes low, we lose to
Could
other
even
stuff,
prevent whatever
right? We just lose to them top decking
kills
like 2
Ishtali.
Fervors or something, right?
Like we can Wallop whatever kills Ishtali and we can Vengeance Dash and Dandy.
And just
And that way
top
Ishtali
decking
can
1
attack for 3
Fervor.
on the
Yeah.
open. Yeah, okay.
And we've
Pirouette?
got Pirouette.
Pirouette. We could Vengeance Dandy right now so that they can't pull into Dandy.
So I Vengeance Dandy now
We
so
can
we
also
can't
Darkness
pull into him.
a Monkey if we want.
Because I don't want them to pull this into Dandy, because then we're going to have to Vengeance Dandy anyway, right? Or prevent Dandy from some capacity. Now, I don't know if that's entirely right. I think we should have Walloped Dandy. But even then,
This
I
is
don't
currently
think it
15
changes too
damage.
much.
But we block 2, so we need to Soul Harvest or Darkness a Monkey to survive. I guess we should do... Well, oh fuck, are we just dead?
Yeah, just to double check. They're dealing 15 damage. It's minus...
That other...
It's -2 because of this, but it's +1 because of the Stylish shot. And, you know, that's 14. We've got 12 health. We've lost, right? Now, we can kill one of these, but that only prevents 2 damage from the actual strike, so we've lost. But this is already lethal. We've lost the game. Pirouette, by destroying 2 of our units, including the lifesteal one, is just game, right? Like, that's just gone. So that controller just nerfed from, I don't know, 20 patches ago. Very important. And that's it. We couldn't do too much else, right? We could have, if we wanted, instead of Vengeance, done this. And I think that was the right play, but I hadn't done the math at the time, right? If I'd done the math, then I would have realized that this was the right play, and we would have done this afterwards. And, you know, we could have taken the set slower. Now, this is only the right play in the 25% chance that we draw one of our portals. and that portal is Mirai Warden, which is, you know, more like a 1% chance, plus the 12.5% chance of, you know, drawing both portals, right? And then maybe getting something like I don't know, a Fey Folk or something. That's the only way we don't lose here. That's still the right play. We should play for our not lose condition, which is this card, but at that point we didn't know. Contro could have given us something different, but obviously Contro didn't, right? And we could have started with this and like passed so that they can't do a good Contro, but then they would have just like opened and we wouldn't have been in a fantastic position because again, we wouldn't have had Wallop at that point. So I don't know. It's tough. I think we lost this game when we did the 3-2, right? Like this game was close enough such that any minor misplay early on is a major misplay later, such as letting them level Samira, which means we can't use Pytos for other units, right? Which is important because they end up doing the Father Fury and challenging our unit and dealing a bunch of damage because we can't block with anything because they got the Test of Spirit. And we can't say, you know, they might just not have gotten Test of Spirit. Let's say they've got Test of Spirit. We could have played around that or had a better situation had we not done that stuff on earlier turns. So I think this game was definitely winnable. But ABG's on played both of these games really, really well. I love ABG's on. They're so fun.
And we don't know what this is.
But yeah, we could have won this game. It's our bad for not winning.
Drag like this. We're taking 12 plus 1. We're taking 13 plus 1. We're taking 14. I don't think we can survive. I think we've lost. I think this is lethal. Yeah, maybe we should have done Portal Police or Player and Pirouette, but I think we're just dead. Yeah.
This is what no Vile Feast does to an
Which is
enemy.
unfortunate, because I think the other matchup is unfaded a little, right?
And they're Father Fury in the end.
Oh, Father Fury. Okay, well,
But look,
then we're
we
there
can
anyway.
hand read. They've got a one. They've got a 1 mana card.
And
Anyway,
Norra may have
good
been
game.
nice, but sure.
Love fighting EBG Son. Good job, KFL. But sure. Try not to cough challenge. Fail.
Alright, this matchup I've never done before. It's another aggro burn deck, but we'll see what happens. I think we really want Norra, like
It's
desperately.
early today, actually. It's not that bad.
We really badly want Norra. Okay, perfect. I think we do this. This feels amazing.
Yeah, so I've talked about the value of Norra in matchups like this before. This deck doesn't really have interaction pieces for Norra. They've got Buster Shot, right? But that's it. They can further Norra, but they can't kill Norra. They've got elusives, but they can't kill Norra. And if Norra gets out of hand into stuff, it just wins, right? That's the issue with Norra. I've got a few issues with Norra, like in how possible gameplay patterns against feel. But Norra wins matchups like these, and I've talked about in a few situations, right, when we've played this deck in previous weeks, that we didn't get Norra, so we lost, or we got Norra, so we won, or we got Norra, but they did something and we lost, right? Now, I know how this game ends up going out. I'm going to spoil it for you. Norra sticks on the board every single turn and wins the game, right? I know it like, oh, you spoiled how this works, but there's less excitement in it, but I mostly mention this to say, like, let's go back to the bell curve, right? This is the curve of games in reality land, right? If these are the draws where you draw Norra, these are guaranteedly wins. You've drawn Norra, you've won the game. And then all of these are the difficult games where you have to determine how you're going to win despite no Norra, right? It feels a lot like old Sarah Bar, where in the worlds where you don't get Bar, you know, it's a really intricate matchup where you got to figure out all the paths to get the victory before you win. Or you just draw your Bar and you've won the video game, right? That's how a lot of these Norra Veigar decks feel into certain forms of like slower aggro, where you get the Norra and it just summons a unit every turn, and then you get Portal Police and you get another Portal Police, and then they can't attack you because they don't run Overwhelm, and there's no Overwhelm in this game, and they rotated Absolver, so they can't kill through Norra, and like all the evasive keywords don't work because Brash isn't good enough, and Fearsome isn't good enough, and Elusive isn't good enough. So the only way they can deal with Norra is Overwhelm, but you know, Overwhelm in 2023, it's hard when there's no Absolver. So like, and you know, Vengeance kills stuff, right? There's no Ruin Runner anymore. Like there's no Ruin Runner in Noxus or Freljord. I know I've gone on like a little bit of a tangent, but my point is like this Norra card, once you have it, gives you that win condition in these scenarios here. So it's really good that we have Norra, and we win this game because we have the Norra, right? Everything else is fine. Like this deals with early interaction pieces like Teemo. This is really nice. Like I'm not gonna say like only Norra won in a sense. If this was Vengeance, you know what? Maybe we would have lost. But it's not Vengeance. We've got at least one card to synergize with Norra, and frankly, that's probably good enough.
That's great.
So Norra's win condition,
The High Toss
basically.
for Protopour, Beard, or Teemo. We've got
Everything
Norra
else
that we
helps,
can only
but-
kill with Vandal Commander,
Like, sure.
or only interact with by Vandal Commander and Pirouette.
This is maybe one of the best draws you can possibly get, right? The only better things could be is maybe like a Quietus or a second Conjure, But or even just like a second Norra, to be honest. But, you know, we've got the Pytos to kill early stuff like Teemo. We've got this to, you know, block down and kill anything with 2 health, especially all their like elusive blockers that are typically having 2 health that aren't Teemo, such as the Bandle Commander. And we've got Concho, who just gives us value and blocks something like a, you know, a Grandfather Fay, or more importantly, the Alchemy.
Right? But that's something that happened in a few times.
Like, we're very comfy.
Teemo, we're like really happy.
And Norra is just amazing.
Concho's a good blocker.
But this is one of those games where Norra flips.
We don't have anything
right?
for
Like
Tristana just yet.
off
That's
herself. So
second Norra. Holy heck.
holy
I'm
heck
gonna
indeed.
Pytos. I guess I'm gonna pass and then I'm gonna Pytos.
Technically, that's right. Just in case they pass back, then congrats. We didn't have to play
Please,
Pytos
another
yet.
Pytos.
We can play
Insane.
Pytos next turn. But
Holy Norra. I don't think there's any issue with doing Norra here. That's nice.
and look, we've drawn more Portapaloozas. Like, Portapalooza is insane here. It's a 5-mana Mirai Warden that draws a card at spell speed. It's great. And gets you closer to your other portals, which is important, right? So it's Mirai Warden that says if you played other Mirai Wardens this game,
Crumble
log
Slip,
out.
perfect. I mean, not
It's
perfect.
very
We can't
funny.
block it, but you know. They can't. It's not blocking Norra.
Yeah, it's not an elusive.
They're one region away
we've
from
won.
rolling up Buster Shot.
Right, like, I always found it a bit sad when people talked about card games in a sense, oh, on turn 2 they won, right? Like, it feels as if it's like a disgrace to the method of how card games are supposed to be played, where every play is important and intricate and every possibility can create a lethal. But if you want to be reductive, and I am being reductive sort of half-artistically to try and prove a point regarding what I want to tell with this game of the VOD review, like, I'm going to say Norra won us the game. And it's true, but it's a little bit sad to continue hearing me say that. Because I've never really enjoyed when other people say that, yet here I am doing that, right? But I think it's very clear that, like, having all of these copies of 5-mana Mirai Warden and having this unit that says Mirai Warden every time I strike is just, like, is too good to do anything against. It's just, it's impossible for them to really do anything.
Okay. Do you want to just pass and do, like, Norra's Portal, please?
I like that.
Okay. We can do stuff like Concho later, but I think Norra's Portal Poison is nice. Mare. Do you want to kill Mare? Or do we want to keep... Tristana's already going to be too much strength. I think we should kill Mare. We can still afford Portal Poison, which is nice.
Just doling them out. It's
Do you want to do Norra's Portal Poison or
fine.
regular Portal Poison?
That since the unit is actually pretty good.
Okay. Let's do regular Portal Poison. Vora. Okay. I think we'll just attack like this. Do we want to attack with Vora? Probably. We can actually do this to prevent Buster Shot, which is kind of funny. But I presume that's more of a joke. I think we just do this.
Yeah, so they're only on one Buster Shot, and they can do Tristana into Buster Shot, but we've got second Norra. I'm not too concerned about Buster Shot, and I'd rather just have the units to block down repeatedly. Now, attacking with Vora is nice purely because of Wandering Shepherd. Now, they need to play another unit to do a Wandering Shepherd buff, which is not an out of their range, but it means they have to have a 1-drop and a Wandering Shepherd, which is more of an ask than not, right? That's why I think this is a fine attack. Now, getting Thingo out of Buster Shot range isn't bad, and honestly, we're about to get so many units that it's probably, like, equally distant. But I think our lose condition right now involves us low rolling on portals and them having, like, you know, 3 1-drops and then next turn also having 3 1-drops and then us losing, right? That's how we lose, and that occurs by them doing a positive block this way, right?
Okay.
That's our lose condition, so I just want to play
Like
around
2
it.
portals
right?
in the thing?
And by 1-drops, I
That's
also
so
mean
many
stuff like
portals.
Grandfather Fay. I don't think our lose condition is them killing Norra when we've got second Norra.
Shepherd? Shot. Overwhelm is a little scary, that's about it. Fix him. That's also
We've
scary.
got
if
5
they have
mana. We can do another
If they
portal
rise up
pleaser
again.
next turn. It's so funny.
Beard. Do we just do like double portal blazer? Is that oh my god. Indoor stuff, yeah. We could also do dark ball back away. Tenor of Terror, okay. They can't afford might anymore. So I think we could just like Perilous Pastry the impact unit if we want.
We want it for spell shield though.
Oh, okay, fair call, fair call. Contra, dark ball, portal blazer, thoughts?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Gamsy's saying that one of our lose conditions could be something like a spell shield unit, right? We want to get rid of the spell shield by doing Perilous Pastry plus, you know, I always call Spirit Journey a stun, right? Because that's basically what it is. And so we can prevent 3 damage. We probably wouldn't use it to prevent the 3 damage, but the point is they're going to play Might on it, and then we can do this on it, right? That's the idea. But we need this to be able to pop the spell shield. That's why we don't do that. Now, we do Concho instead of this card just because they do have 5 units, and we do need to block a fair few of them. We've actually only got 3 blockers because I'm not going to block with this. So we do Concho, and we can just do like Portal Pleaser in the open. Right? Like we don't need to be so overcommittal on the Portal Pleasers.
Trinket. Poro Stories levels Norra, kind of funnily enough.
Might actually be nice.
Yeah.
There's some units.
We've got a lot of units, right? Because we've got a bunch of portals like everywhere. SI Tailstones does like do the stun, basically. But I think Poro Stories isn't bad. I mean, sorry, Trinket Trade also gives us a unit. I think it's Trinket Trade actually.
Yeah, so like this gives us a stun, which is nice, but we already have a stun, and we're probably going to win the game by the time we need 2 stuns, or we're going to have a vengeance or something at that point. Horror Stories is cool. It does level Norra, but we've got a bunch of units, right? We've got this unit, we've got this unit. The only thing that does better than like other stuff is that it levels Norra, right? But the thing is, this costs 3 mana to play 1 unit, and then it's next turn, and this costs 2 mana to play 1 unit, but we also get the attune. So I think this is better. It only levels Norra +1, and she's 2 away from leveling, but we also get the prank. I think this is just the better choice.
Because Trinket Trade will give us a unit, it'll let us prank and see their hand, and it'll level Norra +1.
Yeah, so I think it's the right play.
Yeah, okay, so we do this. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna play Trinket Trade to try and get a another plus. I mean, we can get another plus, right? And then we'll probably just open Portal Pleaser. Yeah, we'll take another plus. Portal Pleaser will give us something big off Norra. Teemo. I will prank. I'll make Pure White cost 2 more, I think.
Either one's fine.
Portal Pleaser or like Ishtar? I presume it's Portal Pleaser.
Yeah, almost.
No reason not to, really.
2? Oh my god, we got Challenger. Overachiever? Sure.
So Portal Please is good. We also have this to deal with, like the spell shield unit, right? Like, so we still have 2 mana up. If we didn't have 2 mana up, I could see what a Portal Pleaser isn't, right? Getting Challenger for the Teemo or for this is super funny. And Overachiever is just like humorous. You can't not
I'll do this.
happy at this.
I think this is the right play. Do we need Norra to strike the Nexus? We could do this. That way they can't give quick attack anything else as well. They can block Ava. But I sort of don't care if they block Ava. I guess I do. Like, we'll just do it this way, I think.
What doesn't matter all this?
Yeah, okay.
I like this.
Yeah. Well, I like it, so... So, if they play Vandal Gunners, we're going to Perilous Pastry so that we can just do Spirit Journey.
I see why they want to do this block. We've got infinite units, right? We're going to win on the next attack turn. I think they should just, like, do this block and keep more health. Maybe, I don't know. They've lost. They literally can't win at this position.
No,
so I don't know what they're playing around. Like might stuff. This block is fine. I think they may as well just do this block though. But sure. They're trying to play for like might win conditions, right? They play this plus might plus, I don't know, quick attack weapon. But we can beat might hands, right? I don't think there's a way for them to win. Even if they had the perfect hand, I don't think they could. Even if they had like mare into something that like, even if they had like mare telescope something, I think we still can't lose.
Vandal Gunners?
I think.
I mean, we have so much health.
I'd be very curious if you could craft a winning situation. Like this is their deck, craft a winning thing that somehow lets them beat us if we play perfectly as well. I just don't think it's possible
anymore. Honestly, we're probably just
anymore.
chump blocking and forcing them to play might, right? Like there's no reason to commit SI Tailstones. We can just force them to play might. Oh my god, okay, sure. Okay, Jesus. Okay. What the? Okay. We might win
That's
this
kind of funny.
Tenor? That's fine. I don't mind, I'm gonna pass, just so we can still afford stuff. I think it's hard.
And we've won. Like, This is why I was so down on this game earlier, because like we have the Norra, it wins us the game. They couldn't kill Norra, they couldn't interact with Norra. Norra saved us the game. We had all of this stuff. We did have the Pytos and the Concho. They were important for stemming early aggression. Like if we couldn't kill Teemo there, Norra may not have struck the first time, especially if they had something like a pirouette or something to buff the Teemo. And like there are worlds in which Norra doesn't strike in for a lot, right? Especially if they've got a second elusive. But even still, like that allows us to store the game out decently enough. And they didn't have early blockers for Norra. The first time Norra hits the Nexus, not only does it mean that they can't deal with Norra, Norra summons units, and so they need to draw in the next 2 cards where to deal with Norra, and they just don't, and so we win, right? It's sort of just how that happens.
Pirouette, okay, they can't even afford.
This game isn't like the most, you know, technically deep or anything. I think the first 2 are more interesting. But sure, like you see Norra do Norra stuff. It's sometimes fun to see that happen, right? They can't afford might anymore, so we just do this.
There's no 0 mana spell shield card, right? No. Okay, good.
Vandal, you never know.
Yeah, you never know with Vandal. I think we should be fine. Like, this does 2 damage to the Nexus. It has Overwhelm. We're gonna summon a million units. This does puff caps. I think it's hard for us to lose. In fact, we can open pass because we have fucking, like, this thing. So, you know, do something. I mean, we've got Levy. Yeah. Good job, ABG's on. But, yeah, good game, rather, not good job.
Nice.
And that's it. That's everything. I love fighting ABG's on. Thank you for the games. Always good fun. I think all of those matches were interesting, and I think this is I think this is one of my favorite best of 3s that I've done in quite a bit. Just good fun overall. Going over things just one last time. I think the first game is really interesting in terms of like keeping track of their hand. I will say, in all of our games, we draw extremely well, and they draw all right in most of them, I think. Not amazingly, but just okay, right? Maybe they don't draw well in the last game, and they draw just medium in the first 2 games. But, you know, we draw quite well, and that's just sometimes just what happens, right? But absent of the draw, I'm not saying like I'm ignoring that we drew well and like we only won because we did all the cool mind reading, right? You know, just keeping track. Like it's not, this isn't the only reason why we won, but it's the thing that I think is most interesting about these games, so it's why I'm highlighting them, right? But sure, first game, good draw with tentacles. They didn't have a lot going on because we got to read their entire hand the entire game. Second game was really interesting where we were trying to play around stuff, certainly, and our lackadaisicalness about the Samira definitely cost us quite a bit. That's just like our bad. We should have paid more attention to like the possibilities of them having Samira from the bell curve, like in the scenario where this is the case. We shouldn't have played the 3-2. That's just our bad. I think Gamesy and I were a bit too short-term thinking in that regard, because they can definitely like do good stuff against us, and they obviously find really good lethal lines with Dashing Dandy and so forth, and getting the Test of Spirit. If they didn't have Test of Spirit, I think we're going to do fine that game. And then, yeah, finally there's this game where we play Norra and we win the video game. Thank you Gamesy for having your voice on. I really appreciated that, and thank you to APG's on for being good fun opponents. And I shall see you next week for week 3 of the Aegis stuff. Bye.